So NFL Week 3 has come to a close as of Monday when the Dallas Cowboys pretty much destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, it was a great game to watch. However, today I'm going to be giving you my NFL Week 4 predictions. Now, of course, before we get right into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, of course, for my first game, I have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Washington football team. Now, the Washington football team allowed 43 points to the Bills, and the Buffalo Bills, while they did play a great game, the Washington football team has shockingly been a very, very bad defense. Of course, this was a team that we saw as one of the best defenses in the league going into the season. I don't really know what happened. Of course, the Buffalo Bills are probably one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL. So that's worth noting. The Washington football team's defense has not been, let's just say, itself over the first couple of games. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, of course, are coming off of a very, very strong win against the New York Giants, a win that really rejuvenated the Atlanta Falcons fan base and their team. I really feel like the Atlanta Falcons are sort of more lively after this win, basically. I think the Atlanta Falcons have a lot more energy after this win over the Giants. Now, of course, as for my score prediction, I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this game 27-24. I feel like the Falcons offense is going to thrive against a struggling, seemingly, Washington football team defense. And, of course, the Atlanta Falcons defense coming off of a great week, I think will hold the Washington football team seemingly depleted offense to a couple of stops when it comes to being big in this game. Now, of course, for the next game, I have the Jaguars versus the Bengals. Now, the Jaguars, man, it's been tough going. They have not won a game yet and lost 31-19 against the Cardinals last week. Now, of course, going to the Bengals, they're coming off of a win versus Pittsburgh, and it honestly looks like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase still have that college football connection. They still look really, really great. Jamar Chase has 4 touchdowns over the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, so as far as it's looking right now, it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals made the right pick in choosing him in the first round of the NFL draft. However, I have the Bengals winning 31-13. I just don't think the Jaguars offense has the capability as of right now to keep up with, quite honestly, nearly any NFL team. Trevor Lawrence is still a growing quarterback. I wouldn't be too worried about him. However, as of right now, I believe the Bengals are going to win this game, and I think they should be a dark horse to reach the playoffs. Now, of course, for the next game, I have the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Now, the Chiefs have a losing record for the first time ever under their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, which, of course, is pressing a little bit of a red alarm. Everyone's like, oh, are the Chiefs the same? Quite personally, I would not think this will be a panic button situation for the Chiefs. Just a tough start. Now, the Eagles, once again, as I said in the beginning of this video, they were destroyed by the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 41-21 on Monday Night Football. The Eagles' defense looked absolutely confused at times. Dak Prescott was in a flow. However, getting back into this game, I have the Chiefs winning 37-14. Seeing the Dallas Cowboys defense and offense play the way they played, and of course the Philadelphia Eagles practically looking like they had no choice but to let the Cowboys win that game. Man, I don't feel too good about the Eagles defense or their offense. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked really good since week 1. I think the Chiefs will come back and get this win here. Now, of course, going to the next game, I have the Titans versus the Jets. Now, it's important to note that the Titans are coming off of a great win against the Indianapolis Colts, and Derrick Henry has a 100-plus rushing yards in his last 2 games. Now, going over to the Jets, it's simply that Zach Wilson needs some time to develop, and the Jets literally have no other pieces. Like, they don't really have a number 1 wide receiver. Their offensive line is a little bit depleted. Their running game is nearly non-existent. It's really, really tough for the New York Jets going on. It's tough for New York fans. The Giants and the Jets are both 0-3 to start the season. However, I think the Titans will win this game 31-10. I quite honestly believe Derrick Henry is going to run all over the New York Jets' depleted defense, and if that doesn't happen, the offense, for the Tennessee Titans will be absolutely insane when it comes to passing the ball. Now, of course, for the next game, aka one of the biggest games of the week in my opinion, we have the Panthers versus the Cowboys. Now, going to the Panthers, they look absolutely great. They are undefeated going into this game, and Sam Darnold looks like he's really, really comfortable in that new offense the Panthers are running for him. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys looked unstoppable on Monday Night Football. Ezekiel Elliott seemed to get back into his flow, had, I believe, 95 yards on 17 carries, 1 or 2 touchdowns. Man, the Dallas Cowboys played really good. I have the Cowboys winning 28-21. I do believe the Panthers are a great team. However, I don't know if you can rely on their defense to stop that Dallas Cowboys seemingly loaded offense. I mean, they have Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, two really, really great running backs in my opinion. And of course, you have Dak Prescott, who looks like he's leaving off where he, starting where he left off before the injury. Man, Dak Prescott's looked good over these last couple of weeks. I believe the Carolina Panthers put up a fight, but the Cowboys ultimately win this game. Now, going over to the next game, I have the Giants versus the Saints. Now, it's important to say that the New York Giants did not look too good on the offensive side. They only scored 14 points on a depleted Atlanta defense that has not really been this good this year. However, Saquon Barkley did look better for the New York Giants. He had over 100 plus scrimmage yards. It looked really, really good for the Giants when it concerned Saquon Barkley. Now, going to the Saints, they had a very promising win over the Patriots. Alvin Kamara had his first, let's just say, good game of the year. And of course, Jameis Winston seemed to get back into the flow of things. I have the New Orleans Saints winning this game 31-7. I just don't believe the New York Giants will be able to compete. It's simple as that. I don't know if the New York Giants offense will be able to score on the Saints' stingy defense. And of course, the Saints offense, while it's not the best thing in the world with Jameis Winston at quarterback, no shade to Jameis Winston thrown right there, I believe that they are more than capable of beating a New York Giants defense that has seemingly struggled over the past couple of weeks. Now, of course, going to the next game, we have the Browns versus the Vikings. Now, the Browns had 9 sacks, a whopping 9 sacks against the Chicago Bears last week. It looked amazing last week, to be honest. Myles Garrett had 4.5, which is a Browns franchise record, by the way. Going to the next point, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt at this point look like the best 1-2 punch in the backfield in the league at this point. And man, it's been really good for the Browns. The Browns have left off right where their previous season ended. They look like a really good team, and they could really be a Super Bowl contender very, very quietly in that division. Now, going to the Vikings, they destroyed the Seattle Seahawks. Justin Jefferson looked back into form. He had over 100 yards. That's a really, really good sign for the Vikings. However, I don't think it will help them win this game. I have the Browns winning 24-20. I think their defense is too good. And honestly, I like their offense. I like their running game. I feel like it offers their offense a lot of balance. And with playmakers like Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, I quite honestly believe the Browns should be a dark horse to not only compete, but maybe even win and go to the Super Bowl later in the playoffs. Now, of course, for the next game, we have two of the, let's just say, laughing stocks of the NFL at this point. These two teams are definitely in rebuild mode. The Lions versus the Bears. Now, the Lions, I believe, are a way better team than their record indicates. The Lions can score points. They scored 33 on a San Francisco 49er defense as one of the best units in the league at one point. I think the Lions' record indicates that they're better than they actually are. That they're worse than they actually are. Now, the Bears, they allowed 9 sacks last game, and Justin Fields is going to need some time to not only throw the ball, but to develop in general. My score prediction, I have the Lions winning this game 31-10. I think the Lions offense is too much for a Bears defense to handle. And while the Bears defense is good on paper, they just don't seem to mesh like they did back when they went 12-4 in I believe 2015, 2016, around that time period. And of course, the Lions, I believe they have a great, great offense. And with Jared Goff, they don't look too bad. I believe the Lions will find a way to score the ball and win this game. Now, for the next game, I have the Texans versus the Bills. Now, the Texans, we still have no sign of Deshaun Watson whatsoever, and they might be a worse team without Tyrod Taylor. They're just not that great. I mean, the Texans, you would like to believe they could win a couple of games, and they have won a game, one against Jacksonville in week 1. However, with their starting quarterback Tyrod Taylor out, it's hard to imagine them winning a lot more games. Now, going to the Bills, they look like the best team in the NFL right now. Just dropped 43 points on what was one of the best defensive units in the league last year on the Washington football team. My score prediction, I have the Bills winning 45-14. Another big week for the Bills offense. They got 35 against the Dolphins. They got 43 against the Washington football team. The Bills look like the number 1 offense in the league, and quite honestly, I believe this team is going to go down as one of the better teams in the league this year. Now, going over to the next game, I have the Colts versus the Dolphins. Now, The Colts have faced three of the best teams in the NFL up to this point, so there's no need to click the panic button on the Indianapolis Colts. I believe they're going to be just fine. Now, playoffs, that's a little bit of a question. Now, the Dolphins have lost Tua Tagovailoa. He was put on injured reserve, which means he's going to miss at least 3 weeks and might have one of the most unexpected drop-offs in the league. Their defense was one of the most underrated and best defense in the league last year, and they just don't look like they have that juice like they did last season. It really, really looks kind of depressing for the Miami Dolphins. Now, my score prediction, I have the Dolphins winning this game 31-20. I believe Jacoby Brissett's going to be a little bit too much for the Colts defense, to handle. And man, it's just the Dolphins, I believe they are a lot better than their record indicates, as I said with the Colts. I don't think this team is going to be some flunk team that doesn't make the playoffs, that is bad the whole season. Jacoby Brissett offers a little bit more of a wrinkle into that offense, and I think that's why the Dolphins will win this game. Now, going to the next game, it's actually an interdivisional matchup. You have the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Now, the new offense has really opened things up for the Seahawks. DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, and even Chris Carson are all getting work in the new offense for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, of course, their defense needs to work. However, I believe they will get better with time, just as they did last year. And again, they're way better than their record indicates. Now, the 49ers, their defense seems to have dropped off a little bit. Of course, Nick Bosa doesn't seem to have that super explosiveness he had in his first year, but again, we're only 4 weeks in. It's not time to push the panic button yet. However, I still have the Seattle Seahawks winning this game 31-28. Ultimately, with this new offensive coordinator, I think the Seattle Seahawks can be one of the best, if not the best offense in the league going into this season, and I really, really believe in Russell Wilson, his ability to quite possibly win an MVP. Now, speaking of MVPs, we have one of the two, or maybe both of the MVP favorites, depending on what you value and who you like as the MVP this season. The Cardinals versus the Rams. The Cardinals might have the MVP in Kyler Murray, and their defense has played very, very well during this season. The Rams look like the best team in the league. They just beat the Buccaneers, and of course, the MVP favorite, in my opinion, right now, Matthew Stafford, man, I think he's playing a great game. Now, of course, I think the Rams defense is also really, really good, which is because of a certain player named Aaron Donald. Man, Aaron Donald has been a beast this season. He has been unstoppable. Him with a mix of Leonard Floyd is just an unstoppable defensive unit. And man, of course, you also have the best cornerback in the league in Jalen Ramsey. It's just a lot to handle. I believe the Rams will win this game 38-21. I just don't know if the Cardinals are ready to handle this team as of yet. However, it's going to be a huge test for them. Very exciting game. Now, going to the next, another former Super Bowl matchup, actually, the Steelers versus the Packers. Now, for the Steelers, I'm just going to say it, Big Ben needs to start planning his retirement party right now. The guy is older, and the whole team looks very, very flat this season in terms of offense and their defense. Now, the Packers, they looked really, really great in the last 2 games. Week 1, I won't say it was a total fluke. However, it wasn't a panic. The Packers are going to be just fine, let's be honest. I have the Packers winning this game 31-13. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to put together another MVP caliber season, along with Aaron Jones, who's really burst onto the scene the last 2 to 3 years. I really think this Packers team has a chance to be one of the best offenses in the league. And quite honestly, I think this team has a chance at probably only losing, 2, 3 games, 4 games at max. I think the Packers could possibly be the number 1 seed coming out of the NFC. Now, of course, going down to the next game, I have the Ravens versus the Broncos. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he is absolutely carrying that offense as of right now. They need to get Lamar Jackson some real wide receivers. And man, Marquise Brown, while I believe he's a talent, while I believe he's good, the guy dropped 3 touchdowns last week. The Ravens, this shouldn't have come down to a final second kick of 66 yards by Justin Tucker. Now, going to the Broncos, they have a huge test. Are the Broncos a legit team? The 3 teams that they face, and yes, they're 3-0, are combined 0-9 as of right now. Now, of course, this game, I have the Ravens winning this game 28-21. I believe the Ravens are, quite honestly, a great team, and I think Lamar Jackson is a amazing quarterback. The stats will tell you one thing, however, Lamar Jackson, just the wrinkles he brings to an NFL offense and how confusing it is for a defense to have to guard a guy with that level of athleticism at the quarterback position. Lamar Jackson provides huge refuge for the Baltimore Ravens in their offense, and that's why I believe they will win this game. Now, going on to the next game, Tom Brady going back to Foxborough, Bucks versus the Patriots. The Bucks are coming off of a seemingly ugly loss against Los Angeles. They're still the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. And, of course, the Patriots, they're coming off of another ugly loss last week. Mac Jones will need to bring his A-game, his absolute A-game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, but Revenge Brady is in the building, and the dude is on the loose. I think this team is going to get absolutely obliterated, and blitzed by the Bucs offense and defense. I have the Buccaneers winning this game 45-10. I think Tom Brady, and he's coming off of a loss. Yeah, it's hard to see Tom Brady losing this game. I think they're going to absolutely blitz the New England Patriots, and I think they're going to destroy the Patriots going into this week. Now, of course, for my last game, the last game on the list, you have the Raiders versus the Chargers. The Raiders look unexpectedly good. The last time they started this well, they actually made the Super Bowl. Now, they did lose the Super Bowl, which I guess isn't a positive thing, but they made it, which is a positive thing. Now, of course, the Chargers, their defense had looked great last week, and they actually shockingly beat the Chiefs. They're not first in their division, but they're tied for second, I believe, with another team, or probably in third place. They're amongst one of the leaders in their division. Now, I honestly believe that the Chargers will win this game 31-24. I think the Chargers are a very underrated team, and honestly, I firmly believe in the talents of Justin Herbert, and I think this team is going to be great. If the Chargers defense can get it together and their offensive line can continue to stay good and dominant, then this team could possibly make the playoffs and make a lot of noise going into this season. Now, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Of course, I have TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, and a whole lot of other links are going to be in the description. But of course, before you leave, I want to make sure you know to stay loved and stay blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.
Unlike a lot of funky men that lack finesse, wanna be rappers brag about already being the best. I respect many people for the job they've done. Haters full of jealousy is what I like especially. Unlike a lot of